good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for dialing in. It's 2:25 on a Wednesday afternoon. We're very pleased to be able to see followers. So, meron mga followers weekly from our business leadership na napunta na to Homeschool Roundtable. So, welcome, everyone. We plan to do this weekly. So, for this week, we have two speakers, Lay and Sir Ronnie, which later on I will introduce. Okay, just a quick introduction of myself. I'm Charisse Diaz. You can call me Cha. I'm Sir Ronnie's partner here in Homeschool Roundtable. I cover marketing, digital, social media activities. So the posters and everything else are from Artisan Studio. So now we'll move on to the why. So why is what it's called HsRT because it's Homeschoolers Roundtable. Para mas maikse. Nahaba siya eh. Ngayon, HsRT was born out of a desire to help parents, teachers, and students in making a homeschool experience fun, effective, and life-changing through the collaboration and building a supportive community. So, as of now, ito tayo. This is our community. It looks like we're easily able to ask each other questions. Magtatanungan tayo on our recommendation. Paano ba to? Paano? I think this was really made for that purpose. All right. Education nuggets, Sir Ronnie?
Siguro, very briefly, gusto natin, part of the program natin is to share a little bit on mga nuggets on education. Kasi we have to understand why do we educate our children. Ito po, sabi ni John Maxwell, true success comes only when every generation continues to develop the next generation. Yun po yung sinabi niya. So, we just have to find out ano ba yung mga ituturo natin sa mga bata na. So, but the idea here is we have to understand na kung kumbaga parang without we cannot be successful without any success. Right? I believe you agree on that. No? So, I think that's it for the education nuggets.
All right. Just some house rules. Please mute your mic while in session and use the chat box if you have comments to ask questions. Later on, if we have time, tatanong natin yung mga speakers. All right. I'd like to welcome our guest speakers. Our first guest speaker for today is Ms. Leah Murphy Barbosa. So, Ms. Leah has homeschooled her children. She has a 5-year-old and 8-year-old kids. Tama, Ms. Leah, no? Okay, all right. So she started her own homeschooling program, which later on she will share with you. So Ms. Leah, take it away.
Lane, naka-mute.
Unmute.
Naka-mute. Yeah, unmute. Still unmute, Lay.
Ask to unmute. Just say yes, Ms. Lay, dun sa Yan.
Yeah, oh, umalik. Naka-unmute ka, Lay.
Isa pa. Ask to unmute.
Yeah.
Okay, one more. Ask to unmute. Okay.
Made-doble.
Still muted.
Hello?
Yeah.
There.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll stop sharing. Ms. Lay, you can share your screen.
Okay. Ready? Can I share my screen now?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi again. Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you very much that you are here. And thank you also to Sir Ronnie and Cha for inviting me for today. Hindi ako naka-attend last week kasi may lesson kami ng mga kids. So this time nag-adjust kami ng weekly schedule namin so that I can spend the afternoon with you guys. So basically I will just be sharing kung ano yung journey that we have started. I cannot say that I'm an expert in homeschooling. Naku po, hindi po. Wala yata pa akong nakikita na expert na homeschooling kasi wala namang expert na parents, no? So, ibig sabihin, lahat tayo, we are growing in our journey. So, I will just share briefly what I have learned for the past, how many years? 7 years in homeschooling our kids. So, siguro lahat tayo, yung mga nandito who are just starting, meron po ba dito na hindi pa nag-homeschool? Pwede niyo po bang i-chat ang number 1? Chat kayo ng number 1. Yung mga hindi pa nag-homeschool, parang ang dami natin no? Meron ba? So, dalawa yung hindi pa nag-homeschool. So, everyone else nakapag-homeschool na? Okay. So, sige. Siguro kasi medyo unique lang yung situation natin right now. Kasi during the time that, apat yung nagsabi na hindi pa sila nag-homeschool. When my husband and I started to homeschool our kids, iba yung situation kasi. There was an ample time for us to prepare. However, ngayon, yung situation natin ngayon, medyo unique. Bakit? Kasi merong threat to health and life. So ngayon, parents are now being pushed to make this choice and make this an option for them. So, alamin natin, ano nga ba yung homeschooling? Ang daming mga terminologies na nasa labas ngayon, no? Pero siguro, bago tayo pumunta dun sa mga naririnig natin na terminologies, I would like to pick up muna dun sa in-announce na ni President Duterte about sa pag-open ng school year. Ang sabi niya, no vaccine, no classes. Pero ngayon, pag inisip mo siya, siguro at the side ng sa ating mga parents, paano yon? Kung say for example, 2 years pa, 1 year or 2 years pa bago magkaroon ng vaccine, what will happen to our children? I think, one of the things that we have to do is number 1, huwag muna tayong mag-react negatively dun sa announcement na yon ni President Duterte. Kasi number 1, wala pa namang implementing rules and guidelines na nire-release. And second, this is an opportunity for us parents to study our options for the children. Okay? Kasi sabi naman, di ba, the only thing that is permanent in this world is change. Ngayon, tayo mga parents, dahil nandito tong situation na to, this is an opportunity for us to model for our children and to show our children na how are we going to respond to this change that is happening right now in our environments, in our yung condition natin worldwide. How are we going to respond as parents? And the benefits will be reaped by those parents who will respond immediately and change immediately. Kasi pag napag-iwanan tayo, medyo may may difficulty, pero makakasunod pa rin tayo. Pero now that we are acknowledging that there is a change, we also have to find a way how we're going to resolve it. Okay? So tingnan natin yung mga terminologies, ang dami na nagkalat sa internet. Malamang habang kayo ay nag-check ng option for your children, nakikita nyo ito. Ano tong mga nakikita nating definition na mga terminologies? Ano ba yung homeschooling? Ano yung distance learning? Ano yung home study? Ano yung virtual learning? Ano yung remote learning? Ang dami, no? Mga terminologies na nakikita natin. So, siguro, if we're going to really look at the details of this mga terminologies na to, I can separate it only in 2 groups. Ano yung 2 groups na yon? Yung homeschooling is a different group from distance learning, home study, virtual learning, and remote learning. By what? Ang difference lang po basically is that sa homeschooling, si parent po will be the one to choose the method, curriculum, lesson plan, monitor ng progress ng anak, and be the teacher to their kids. Itong mga ibang terminologies na online learning, distance learning, ano pa yung mga ibang terminologies, home study, virtual learning, remote learning, all of this, the school will be the one providing the curriculum, worksheet, and then they will assign teachers to monitor and find out yung mga accomplishment ng mga kids natin, yung progress ng mga students. And then, of course, the testing and assessment before NCOV, are done either online or on-site. Okay? So, yun lang yung nakikita kong difference between these two groups of pag i-define definition natin. So, ano ba yung mga pros and cons? Lahat ng bagay may pros and cons. We cannot say that one is the end-all solution for one particular concern, especially right now, pagdating sa education ng kids natin. So, let's see, ano yung mga positives and negatives. Say, for example, for this particular group, yung distance learning, home study, virtual learning, and remote learning, ano yung mga pros for this one? Number one, you can do the task, of course, in the comfort of the home environment kasi wala lalabas dahil remote. Second, it provides structure for the learner. Bakit? Kasi si school na yung nag-define eh. Ito yung curriculum, ito yung gagawin nyo for the first quarter, ito yung gagawin. Malinaw. So, hindi ka maliligaw kasi may structure. And then, record keeping and assessment is straightforward. Bakit? Kasi you submit yung mga accomplishment mo dun sa distance learning, home study, tapos they will be the one to record it for you. And then, of course, there's flexibility. Kasi bakit? You can do something else while you are doing the online home study virtual learner dahil nga nandun ka sa comfort ng iyong home environment. Pero what are the cons for this particular way of studying, of education? Siyempre, meron siyang cons. Number one, siyempre, limited yung availability of well-developed system. Bakit? For the Philippines, perhaps, ito yung mga nakikita ko kasi hindi naman siya actually nagiging option eh. Pagka kunyari, papaaral ka ng anak mo sa elementary, high school, hindi siya nakikita na option, yung online learning, virtual learning, remote learning. More often than not, meron siyang connotation, parang negative connotation pagka nag-online learning ka. Bakit ganun? Siguro, ganyan. O kaya, pang-artista yan, di ba? Yan yung mga common na bias pagdating sa mga home study, distance learning. And then, isa sa mga cons niya also is coordination with teachers. Bakit? Kasi based doon sa mga friends ko who have done this, ang challenge nila, hinahabol nila si teacher kasi ano ba yung susunod? Kasi nga si teacher nasa labas ng bahay. Kasi nga siya distance learning eh. So nag-aantay sila ng feedback with the teacher. So supposed to be, say for example, si teacher, meron pa siya yung face-to-face na mga estudyante. So masyadong maraming task yung hinahawakan ni teacher for virtual learning, remote learning, distance learning. And then the third one that I see is a cons for this one is that it's not tailor-fit to your child. Kasi nga, ito, ang nag-define nito is si school na. Define na niya kung ano yung curriculum niya. So, medyo may difficulty kasi si teacher, teacher na naka-distance learning, siya yung gumagawa for all. Na? Hindi siya ma-tailor fit for your child. And then, of course, technical difficulties. Ayan, technical difficulties. Bakit? Internet, platform, kung ano yung gagamitin. Yan yung mga nakikita natin na mga challenges pagka ito yung option, itong group distance learning home study yung ating option. How about homeschooling? Ano naman si homeschooling? Ano yung pros for doing homeschool? Number one, you can tailor fit the approach and the method. I-share ko yung particular experience namin. When I started with my eldest, nahirapan ako kasi ang unang default ko, parang home study, I bring the school to the home. So I brought books, I taught my child. It was very difficult on our part and frustrating kasi na-realize ko, ayaw niya magsulat, ayaw niya humawak na lapis, bakit kaya ganon? But then, I realized that during that time that when we were starting, my daughter is not interested dun sa approach, kaya ayaw niya. Alam niyo po kung anong ginawa ko? I did it by baking. So natuto pong magsulat ang anak ko habang kami ay nagbe-bake because I observed her, pagka nandyan yung flour, nare-realize ko, nakikita ko nagsusulat siya dun sa flour. So it turned out, sa kanya, for her to learn, it's important for her to play during that time na siya ay 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old. So she actually learned how to write sa flour habang kami po ay nagbe-bake ng cupcake. So yun yung So you tailor fit the approach and then as they grow older, you define kung ano yung mga fit para doon sa inyong anak. Next is that you focus on the process. dahil ikaw, as a parent, ikaw yung teacher, you get to see yung development and progress ng anak mo. More often than not I grew up in a traditional school. Nasa dulo na parati nakikita ng mami tsaka daddy ko, parang, oh anak, bakit naka 79 ka dito? So dulo na siya. Diba? Pero ngayon, pag tinignan mo siya, dahil ikaw si parent, ikaw yung nagtuturo, you can easily see yung progress ng anak mo. Ay, may difficulty si anak sa ganitong area. So, anong gagawin natin? So, you're going to address that kung ano yung difficulty ng anak mo. So, you focus on the process, not so much na sa quizzes niya, naka 5 siya, 5/10, hindi yun sa dulo. So, you help them build confidence also when you focus on the process of learning. Next, flexibility of time and curriculum. Nako, sobrang flexibility in time. Kunyari, ito, dahil meron akong commitment, pwede kong i-adjust yung time. Dahil nga, I can give them a different assignment during the day. So, very helpful to para sa family namin. Kasi kung pupunta ka somewhere else, pwede mo i-adjust. Walang pressure for you to be present all the time na kailangan kaharap mo parati yung libro mo. And then, at the same time, sa curriculum, ito yung mga na-observe ko doon sa mga nagsisimulang mag-homeschooling. They get so excited, they buy a curriculum early on only to find out that it is not something na will be appreciated nung anak nila. And ang nangyari, binili na nila yung mula preschool hanggang probably grade 6. So they spend so much. Kasi ano nangyari? Si parent ang nag-decide ng curriculum, hindi mo na-test. So yung flexibility para sa yung fit para dun sa anak mo, you can change it dun sa duration na nag-homeschool ka. And I think itong last two. These are the two things that actually resound to me and my husband. That is intentionally influencing your children. One of the things that nakita namin na we can improve on, kami ng husband ko, is that we can be very purposeful on the things that we would like our children to learn. Specifically on character building and at the same time, sa faith namin. So that's actually one of the reasons why we homeschooled, my husband and I. So we really want to intentionally influence our children in terms of character and our faith. So this is something that is very, how would you call it? It's something that you can do when you are homeschooling. Kasi everyday kayong magkasama. And then, it will also build better relationship with your children. Kasi magkasama kayo parati eh. So, you get to see and adjust also for yourself. Ako siguro ang nakita ko, more than my children learning for me, it is I who's learning from my children. So, if you're going to ask me about my homeschool experience, it's very rewarding kasi I can see yung little by little, it's not just my children who is growing, but they are also helping me with the feedback that they give me. O di ba marunong na rin mag-feedback yung mga anak ko, kailangan daw ituro yung mga yung mga good things that we know that to our children. So the children gives me feedback, I also grow in my way of teaching, kung ano yung ginagawa namin sa house. We are free to give each other feedback at home. So you are building better relationship with your children. So, hindi sila pupunta with someone else kunyari, paglaki nila, ito yung observation ko sa mga veterans na pag magkakaproblema yung mga anak, pumupunta sa iba. This time, hindi. Pupunta sila kay mami tsaka kay daddy ni. Ano nga ba yung pwede kong gawin? May ganito akong problem. Why? Because open yung communication kasi they grew up na kasama si mami tsaka si daddy as they were growing. But, ano naman yung mga cons for homeschooling? So, sabi dito, number 1, ako, very evident ito, time-consuming siya. Especially siguro pagka ang mga anak natin ay maliliit pa. Mga preschool, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. Time-consuming siya. Bakit? Kasi there will be times you really have to stop and just talk to your child. Dahil ikaw si teacher, wala namang iba na mag-a-address ng mga concerns nila. Tapos minsan gabi na matutulog na, may tanong pa, may mga pahabol pang question. Ma'am, what happened to our experiment? Why did alam mo yung bigla na lang may bigla na lang tanong sa isip ng mga anak mo. So, you really have to make an adjustment for that. And it is really an investment of our time as parents. Second, while there are those who are full-time, who have full-time job na nag-homeschool, ito yung mostly na ginagawa is that there must be one dedicated parent for homeschooling. So, ang mangyayari is that the family will have to make an adjustment to have only to work in, anong tawag dito? One income household. Kasi yung isa magfo-focus sa homeschooling. Although, dahil ngayong mga times natin, marami ng opportunities that we could work around. Work from home, dahil nga available na ngayon ang work from home, mas marami na ngayon. So, we make adjustments na lang for that. But it's still workable. And next, it's not necessarily more affordable pag nag-homeschool. Kasi depende dun sa yung need ng anak ninyo, minsan hindi siya available dun sa libro lang. You actually have to buy. So it's not necessarily affordable pag sinabi yung homeschooling, lahat siya libre. Available siya. Kunyari, nandito sa bahay, you want to learn how to measure, andyan lang sa kusina, maraming pang measure, di ba? Pwede mo nang gamitin. But it doesn't mean it's necessarily affordable if you're going to homeschool. Kasi pag interest ng anak natin is more biology or science, perhaps you have to make an investment for microscope or those other stuff that you need so that they can pursue kung ano yung kanilang passion in their learning, in their studies. Okay? Okay pa ba tayo dyan? Okay pa? Okay. Sige, let's proceed. Okay. So let's proceed. Ano yung mga gagawin natin to prepare? Kasi nga, meron tayong 4 ngayon na kasama who have not homeschooled yet. So, unang-una, tatlong bagay lang siya. Huwag kayong mag-alala. Hindi to 1 hour. Bibilisan natin. Unang-una, preparation of the parents. So, if you are seriously considering homeschooling, unang-una, the parents have to prepare. Kasi kayo yung may lead role dun sa homeschooling. No? Unang-una, sabi natin, we have to begin with the end in mind. Ano ba yung end in mind ninyo why you're going to homeschool? We have to answer this Bakit? Kasi yung mga gagawin natin sa homeschooling natin will dictate, depende dun sa ano yung desired natin na final outcome of this endeavor for you and the whole family. Kasi magkakasama tayo lahat sa bahay So, lahat dapat magpa-participate, di ba? So, ano ibig sabihin nito? If you want to homeschool, in the meantime, habang wala pang vaccine, okay lang yon. You don't have to worry about it. Walang problema. Wala naman siyang sinasabi na pag mag-homeschool ka hanggang grade 6 o hanggang mag-graduate siya na high school. Wala pong ganun. This is actually an option. It's a very good option. It's a blessing to have an option to homeschool our kids. Even if you just want to homeschool during the time na meron tayong pandemic. It's alright. But, makikita natin na yung mga susunod na steps natin will be actually anchored with the end that we have for our kids. Ano yung ibig sabihin nito? If you want to homeschool, dahil lang ngayon, dahil merong pandemic, ang mangyayari dito, the best option for us is either to get a homeschool provider or perhaps we go to PEP test. Ano ibig sabihin nun? That would be something that we can discuss siguro at another time, di ba? Pero this is an open option for us. Bakit? Kasi pwede naman tayong bumalik sa traditional school kapag ginawa natin to. So, importante lang muna na alamin natin kung ano yung end in mind natin. So kami, with our family, our end in mind is actually to really purposively and intentionally teach and educate our children. So we made a commitment, my husband and I made a commitment to do this hanggang mag-high school sila. Good luck! So hanggang mag-high school yung aming mga bulinggit. So medyo mahaba pa po ang aming journey ng aming family to do this. But because this is what we have that this is what our end in mind is, alam namin din na we can make peace kung ano yung mga gagawin namin. Alin yung mga pipiliin natin na we have chosen, kung ano yung mga methodology na gagawin namin. Malinaw na yun sa mind namin kasi alam namin, eto kami, hanggang dito yung dulo namin eh. So, alam namin yun, malinaw sa amin, yung aming end in mind. So, second, dahil alam mo na kung ano yung end in mind mo, you have to research ano yung track na kailangan mong gawin. What is the track that you are going to take? Because it will define exactly what method you will apply and how you will plan out for your child's education. Hindi po kailangan tumigil, matuto. Actually, pag iniisip ko nga, every day is a learning experience. And this NCOV is another opportunity for us to learn. Hindi lang yung mga anak natin, tayo din as parents. This is an opportunity for us to learn. So, let's research. Ano ba yung pwede nating track na kuhanin? Huwag muna methodology. Madaming methodology na available eh. So, anong track? Maghahanap ba tayo ng homeschool provider? Meron ako narinig na independent homeschooling. Yun ba yung gusto nating kuhanin? So, you research on the things, the options that are available. Kasi hindi tayo kailangang matali na, ay, hindi na daw mag-open ng school year. Hindi makakapag-enroll ang anak natin sa classroom, sa eskwelahan, traditional school. O, tigil na tayo lahat. Merong option. Marami pong options na available. Okay? So, next is that, as parents, we have to address our fears. Ako, ang pinagkakakabahan ko pag nag-high school ang anak ko, ako po ay masyadong magaling sa math at sa science. Pero na-realize ko, one of the things that I have realized as we journey on with our homeschool as a family is that I do not need to know everything as a parent, no? Ang daming parents who are willing to help out, especially if you are part of a community already. And second, na-realize ko, nandyan si Google. Di ba? Nandyan si Google, ang daling mag-research. Kaya minsan, pagka anak ko may tanong, Ma'am, is it possible for us to make a stalactite and a stalagmite? Ala, ano yung stalactite at saka stalagmite? Come on, anak, let's learn together. So, let's make this a journey of being a co-learner with our children. You address those fears. Yan, hindi natin kailangan maging expert kasi wala namang expert sa lahat ng subjects, no? So, nandyan lahat yung available resource that we can have. So, yung mga fears natin, i-address din natin yan. Isa-isahin na natin yan and alamin natin kung ano yung pwede natin gawin dyan sa mga fears natin. So, 3 things. Again, preparation for the parents. Number 1, we have to begin with the end in mind. We have to research what track to take. And third, we have to address our fears. That's for the parent, preparation for the parent. Sino pa yung kailangan mag-prepare if you are seriously considering homeschooling? The second one that we have to prepare as parents is of course the learner, yung ating mga anak. Why are we going to prepare? If they already have an experience na nandun sila sa traditional school, of course, unang-una sa lahat, we have to allow time for adjustment. Kasi bakit? Kasi completely different yung yung setting that they will find pagka nag-homeschool sila. We have to allow adjustment for our kids. And at the same time, we will be frustrated pagka kunyari hindi natin to ginawa with our children. Especially pagka medyo grown up na, medyo malaki na yung mga anak natin. Let's be gracious with each other. As a parent and also doon sa anak natin. Kailangan, anak, di ka magtsatsaga tayo to do this, ganyan. And how are you going to do that? This is one thing that I have learned doon sa community namin sa My Hill. And ang sabi doon is that we have to make an agreement early on. Parang ito yung setting of expectations with our children, no? What are you going to do? Make an agreement with them. You can actually save a lot of heartaches if you lay down expectations with your kids regardless of how young they are. This is helpful for me even with my youngest. Say for example, during the week, sweetheart, I need you to finish this. Meron kaming listahan. I need us to finish this. So, if you're going to choose to study first before you play, we will be able to finish this early on by Wednesday, complete na natin to, then you will have more time to play. So, there is a need to, to make an agreement with your children. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised what your children will do. Magugulat ka. Minsan nga, akala mo matatapos nila ng 1 week yung isang activity. Magugulat ka. Yung si M, nagulat ako, yung eldest ko. Aba, natapos yung isang chapter, isang araw, isang upuan sa sobrang excitement niya. Bakit? Kasi alam niya na may agreement kami and there's also a reward towards the end. If na-meet mo yung agreement, ay, meron akong chocolate drink na masarap mamayang hapon if I will finish this. So, make an agreement with your children and as you allow them also to adjust dun sa bagong learning setup nila in homeschooling. And last but not the least, find a dedicated space and time for studying. You have to create a rhythm with your children. Just like when we are in the yung traditional school, di ba meron tayo, alam natin, gigising tayo ng 5 o'clock, papasok tayo dadating si service ng 6 o'clock, uuwi tayo ng 4 o'clock. Ganun din, we find a rhythm dun sa ating pag-homeschool. So yung mga kids ko, yung eldest ko, nagkaroon siya ng initiative, naka-alarm siya. May alarm siya na pagka 1 o'clock na, bit-bit na nila yung mga books nila, saka yung mga activities. Mom, kanina nilalapitan na nila ako, Mommy, later on, we're going to have an experiment. Ko, yes, baby, we're going to have an experiment because it's Wednesday today. Wednesday experiment and Monday math with Daddy. So, meron silang rhythm. They know what they can expect during the week. And at the same time, we can shut down all our gadgets, the TV, wala. Meron kami lang maliit na space para sa pag-aaral namin. It can actually be in the kitchen. Pagka-experiment namin, nandun kami sa isang area. And then meron din kami ditong small table where they study. At nandun available lahat yung mga materials that our children need for study. Okay? So preparation of the learner, 3 things. Allow time for adjustment, make an agreement with them, and find a dedicated space and time for studying. So, 2 things na yung sinabi natin that we can do if we are seriously considering homeschool. So, first, the parent has to prepare. Second, we have to prepare the learner. There is another element that I would like to introduce, which I think was, from my experiences, very helpful. We have to choose a community. Anong ibig sabihin nito, choosing a community? Sabi nga, ano nga yung sinabi? We have to surround ourselves with like-valued people. So, mahirap mag-homeschool pag yung mga kasama mo parate may negative connotation about homeschooling. If you want to homeschool your children, you go to the people. You look for a community na they have done this already and they are willing to help out, 'di ba? Yun yung gagawin natin. Huwag kang pupunta doon sa ayaw ng homeschooling kasi you want to encourage, we have to encourage each other kasi it's really a daunting task to do homeschooling. I think yung mga veterans natin na nandito will speak the same way. Ako, ilang years pa lang ako. I could just imagine, hindi lahat ng araw na nag-homeschool ka, happy-happy. May mga times na, anak, tapusin mo na yan, please na. Pero hindi We have to choose a community so that we can help each other. So, what are the advantages of having choosing a community? First, it's going to promote group learning by sharing resources, expenses, and equipment. So, say for example, it's a biology or chemistry, advanced math, writing, or foreign language. Anything that you think is something that you are not very good at, you can find it in the community that you are part of. So, doon sa community namin, meron doon na para siyang genius pagdating sa math. There is a way that he can explain things very simple pagdating sa math. Medyo challenge ako sa math. Pero nag-enjoy ako ngayon sa medyo algebra. Pero yung mga ibang math, so sabi ko, meron akong pwedeng lapitan kasi we are part of a community. I can go to that person. And then there was this one time, hindi ko alam kung makaka-relate tayo ngayon dahil sa NCOV. But before kasi nag-field trip. So what happens, dahil may community, we divide the cost. Kasi syempre, ang hirap naman kung kunyari pupunta ka tapos mayroon kang isang venue na pupuntahan ka, malaki yung cost. Pag mas marami kayo, syempre, you can divide the cost dahil meron kayong community. So, ganun yung ginawa namin. We went to a farm in Cavite. So, there were several families nag-rent kami ng van, we went there, tapos mga parents din yung mga nandun who welcomed us, na meron ding mga kasama nila ng mga anak nila. At ito yung maganda, yung susunod natin, opportunity for our learners to hone their skills. Ito yung so beautiful during, yung based on my experience with a community. When we went there, doon sa field trip namin, it was actually the elder, mga matatanda na nag-homeschool, mga high school. Sila yung nagfa-facilitate ng mga activities doon sa mga younger kids. So what happens? You are actually teaching your children to learn how to facilitate, no? Yung kanilang skills in yung kanilang presentation skills nandun. So I can still remember yung yung particular experience namin na yon. Meron kaming yung tawag doon, tie-dyeing, mga t-shirt. Yun yung tinuro sa amin nung isang homeschooling family. So yung si ate, yung eldest, siya yung nagturo, and then yung mga younger kids are helping the younger kids then. So you are actually giving opportunity for your children to learn and hone their skills when we are part of a community. So I think those are the things that was very helpful for me. Pero syempre, I'm very sure that there are still other questions that the parents have, especially perhaps do sa legality. And ano yung mga pwede natin gawin na it will be credited. Importante, di ba? Maka-credit ba to pagka kunyari, nagbalikan na tayo sa eskwelahan? Those are some of the other questions that you might have. And I think it would be good if we could have a separate forum for that. Pero sabi nga ni John Maxwell, pupuntahan ko si John Maxwell kasi as I was studying for organizing this particular talk, nakita ko siya, ang sabi niya, how are you as a parent should be able to increase yung influence mo in what you are doing as a homeschooling parent or a future homeschooling parent. Paano mo yun, how are you going to grow as a homeschooling parent or as a parent? Wag na natin lagyan ng label na homeschooling. As a parent na lang right now na nasa pandemic tayo, how are you going to grow? And I think ang importante dito, isa sa things that we can do is we have to really find people who are like-minded, who wants to grow, and at the same time who wants to learn. Kasi lahat tayo walang expert. Lahat tayo we are growing. Unprecedented yung nangyari ngayon sa atin. And there are a lot of opportunities that we can find available for us parents for the education of our children. If we are going to join people who are also looking at the opportunities and not the threats lang. Kasi mahirap din if we are going to focus na, baka ganito, baka ganyan. All negative, na nami-miss out natin yung mga magagandang bagay that we can actually do and we can act on as parents for in deciding for the education of our children. So yun lang po. Maraming salamat po sa pakikinig. Thank you very much for your patience. I hope I did not spend so much time. Meron po ba kayong mga questions that you would like to ask?
Thank you, Ms. Lay. Okay, wait. Meron akong question dito. What if the family doesn't have a space? Like, sabi mo kanina, find the corner where we can host. What if they have a small house? How does that work out?
Oo. Actually, alam mo, Miss Cha, siya the kitchen, ang dining table namin is actually a big space for us to learn. Siya portable ba? Portable classroom. You don't have to have a big space actually. Meron lang certain space for all the books para organized, syempre. But yung kitchen table, the dining table is actually a good space for studying if you have limited space at home. Marami nga ngayon nag-homeschool na nasa condominium, medyo maliliit yung mga space. The dining table is a good place to start.
Okay.
Para sa ating homeschooling. Yan.
Right. We have another question from Kim Basa. Where to get materials for homeschooling?
Maraming available na materials. Actually, ang magiging minsan nga malulunod ka sa sobrang daming available na materials. So I think the best way for us is not to choose the materials first. I would recommend that we start with the end in mind. Ano ba yung gusto ko munang mangyari? Ano yung gusto kong end result for my kid? And then, that's the time you identify ano kaya yung best methodology if this is what I want for my kid. And then after that, tsaka ka maghanap ng materials because believe me, malulunod kayo sa available materials online. I can actually share yung ibang mga materials that we have. Merong mga free materials, but there are also materials that you can buy. Ang kagandahan lang dun sa mga bibilihin na materials, mga ready na structured na siya. Kasi ready na siya ng materials eh. You can actually buy also. But there are a lot of materials available in the market and online.
Okay. So, meron lang yung age? Like, kung anong age yung child, yun yung, or is it a range? Dapat ba ganun?
It is, I'm sorry?
Is it age range or specific to the age? Kunyari, pang 5-year-old, pang 6-year-old, kailangan yun talaga yung isa-search mong materials?
Pwede naman. Kaya lang kasi, based sa observation ko, you try. You try with your kid. Say for example, meron kang material that you're able to find per level. I think that's the easiest way. You search, say for example, materials for grade 1, materials for preschool, materials for kinder. Yun yung pwede nating i-research. Pero you'd be surprised, minsan yung anak mo, preschool level, pero ready na siya for grade 1. So, you adjust. Yun nga yung maganda eh. There's flexibility. You search for the materials online na merong available. Kanina nabanggit ni Sir Noy, meron nga DepEd Commons, may available doon. You can try it out first, yung kung ano yung available na free so that you don't waste yung spending too much na hindi ka pa talaga ready. You go muna doon sa available online for free. Tapos pagka decided ka na, that's the time you make that investment to buy materials.
Okay. Ayan. Sabi ni Ms. Kim, thank you. No idea no idea at all what are the methodologies available. Thank you for your presentation. It was helpful.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yung sa methodologies, Ms. Cha, siguro we can have another forum for that kasi medyo we cannot compress everything in a 20-minute forum. So perhaps we can have a separate forum for the methodology as well.
So for now, more of mindset. You have to really prepare first. And then when you're ready, let's go dun na sa step 1, step 2.
Yes, that's right.
That's good. If there are no more questions, let's move on to our next speaker. Meron pa ba? Okay, thank you. Sige. I'd like to introduce Ronnie Marquez. Okay, so our next speaker is Ronnie Marquez. He's also a homeschooler. Actually, ngayon ko lang nalaman na homeschooler si Sir Ronnie. Imagine. Okay, he and his wife homeschooled their 3 children in 1995 from grade school to high school. And all his boys are young adults now. He believes parents should embrace the responsibility to educate and train their children. For him, educational institution or the government and the parents are partners. Parents should not delegate the responsibility to them. So him as a parent should take responsibility in teaching our children, and if it should not only focus on academics but more on values and character development. So without further ado, ito na si Sir Ronnie. Welcome, Sir Ronnie.
Thank you, Cha. So share ako ng screen ha.
Sige, stop.
Okay. Ang ganda ng topic ni Leia. Grabe, thank you for that Marami rin ako natututunan doon So ito, I'll be sharing with you. Ito po yung mga anak ko. Actually, sila po ay homeschooled by my wife. Most of the time, ang wife ko talaga ang ganda dyan. Kumbaga, ang honor talaga is for my wife. Kasi she really took time. Sabi nga ni Leia, kailangan may isang magsasacrifice. Okay. Yung wife ko kasi, nung 7-year-old yung anak ko, she decided not to work anymore. yun ang pinaka challenging. Siyempre ako lang kumikita, so may challenge din talaga financially kasi income ko lang yung standalone. So may yun yung parang nagiging problema dahil ako lang nag-work. But we continue. We decided na, sige, let's homeschool our children. Kasi I have friends like sina Edgar, may mga friends ako na nag-homeschool din na together, meron akong community that really helps me to kumbaga yung mga fears na sinasabi nila yung kanina. So, ang mga anak ko ngayon are already graduated na sa Binil, Jesus of Me. So, ang ano ko lang dito, ang maganda lang sa amin, all of my kids got full scholarship from LaSalle, no? And wala akong binayaran sa college. Nakabawi, ano? All of those boys, yung tatlo na yun. And right now, ang kinuha talaga nilang career is on music. Ano? Meron silang company ngayon, Swave Sound. Ang ginagawa nila, they score music, tapos film, jingles, advertisement, music production, arrangement, saka yung mga music mastering and mixing. So, kinuha ang kanilang management nila si Eli Buendia ng Offshore Music. So, right now, yun yung mga anak ko. Again, ang nangyari lang sa mga anak ko, I realize, ito lang yung share ko sa inyo, kahit yung mga anak ko na yan ay pumupunta sa bar, tsaka, alam mo naman sa bar, di ba, nandiyan ang smoke sa drink. Sila, they grew up na understanding yung limitation and they were taught how to make choices, no? Hindi sila iinom dahil magdadrug, and they don't drink dahil smoke. Wala talaga sa kanila yun, hindi nila na-pick up yung kahit na sa environment na magulo. They were able to na-establish namin yung paniniwala na yun na they are the normal kids, not those people who are, hindi naman ako against this as drink, may umiinom kasi may nag-smoke, pero sila, tapos sila na-establish na sa faith nila na you should pity them kasi they are, kumbaga trap sila sa ganung mindset na they need to do that to become accepted. But mga anak ko, wala silang ganung baggage. Hindi sila nagkaroon ng insecurities. They can talk to everybody. They can play. They can perform. Hindi ko nakita sa kanila. That's the value of homeschooling. So, sobrang lang kwento sa mga anak ko. Ito na lang. Sige. Let's go to this para mayroong content tayong pag-uusapan. Sabi dito, if the child is not learning the way you are teaching, then teach in the way the child learns. Importante po yan, sabi ni Leia na kahit na anong galing natin.
Sorry, meron lang warning.
Sorry.
May warning window lang if you can close it.
Warning window, sorry yan.
Nakikita kami warning.
Warning window, sorry, hindi ko alam. Play.
Yun sa right.
Right side. Ay, ito. Ano ba yan? Okay, go. Thank you.
Okay. Alright.
So, good. Okay, so, tuloy ko lang. So, sabing ganun, when you talk to children, no, and tell them information, did you know that only about a third of them will be able to learn it? So, this is because only a third of people take information primarily through the ears. So, sa mga schools, sa mga homes, sa mga, di ba, yung regular school, talagang pagka hindi ka learner na auditory, magkaka-challenge ka kasi may tatlong klase ng way of learning. So, yun yung share ko, no? May tinatawag na, unless na we have some impairment, we all use all our senses to take in information. And after the age of 4, we take in most school information through the 3 of those senses. No? Ang tawag ko dito ay dun sa neuro-linguistic programming. No? As visual through our eyes, auditory to our ears, and kinesthetic or touch. Each of us tends to have a preference for taking in information, no, through only 1 or 2 of these, 2 of the 3. So ito po, yung children who prefer auditory learning usually do quite well in school sa mga regular school system. Teacher talk and still the most prevalent form of imparting information sa regular school. And children who prefer visual learning also do quite well, particularly in primary school. And the children who miss out most are those, ito yung matindi, the ones who prefer to learn kinesthetically. Kasi pagka may mga bata sa school, di ba, minsan hindi makatayo, hindi maka-stay put sa upuan. tatayo yan, di ba? Kasi gusto nilang matuto through the action. Pag may anak kayo na minsan, sinisira yung upuan nyo or whatever, baka kinesthetic sila. They are not bad people. No? They are not bad children. So, yun. Yung aesthetic learning, ano ba ito? Kaya nga may mga ganyan, mga gamit yung hinahawakan. Di ba? So, kinesthetic learning encompasses more than the sense of touch. It also includes a need to move and to be touched emotionally. Ito po yung mga gusto nilang hinahawakan, yung kamay, di ba? Tinuturuan sila. It is no accident that we use the word touch to refer to an emotional reactions as well as the physical. Nor that we use the word feeling to refer both to emotions and the physical senses. So, yun nga, katulad ng sinabi ko sa kanya, yung mga tao na mga anak ninyo na, alam mo, yung mga upuan natin, hinahagis, meron ba kayong ganong anak? Hindi po minsan masama yun. They just really want to learn. They need to move in order to learn. Yun. Kahit sa adult nga meron ka. Siguro meron kayong na-meet ng mga adult na kausapin mo ng mga 30 minutes, aalis yan, tatayo yan. Gusto yan lumakad. Meron na ba kayong na-meet na gano'n na even hindi makatagal sa computer kasi they are really kinesthetic learner. And the important thing is to think about how people learn, how they learn differently, and how we cater for those different. So yan po yung NLP teachings on the learning style. So ngayon, oras na ba tayo? So medyo konti na lang time ko, sorry. So pag-usapan po natin to, I am a consultant. So meron po tayong 4 na distinct behavior, no, ng mga bata. Now, ito pong 4 na to, we are not putting them into a box and closing the lid. Hindi po natin sila nililabel, ano. We don't want to do that to our children. No? We just have to understand that every children, combination of all these 4 personality type, no? Combination po yan. Minsan may konti siyang determined siya, may konti siyang influencing style, meron siyang konting steadfast style. Normally, 1 to 3 of this, yun yung mga dominant characteristics. So, pag-usapan po natin, ano po ba yung D, no? Yung 4 na yun. No? So, yung D po, ang ginagamit natin sa mga bata, at is determined. No? Tapos yung I naman po is influencing, S, steadfast, and conscientious. Overview lang po ito ng discussion, no? Kasi malaking topic po ito. No? So, all personality styles are good and have good qualities, and they have things they can work and can become better. Pero meron din po siyang parang challenges bawat personality. So, ang tanong is, why do you need to know all of this? And what's the value of this, knowing this to your homeschool? Bakit po importante ito? Kasi kung hindi natin maintindihan ng anak natin, akala natin makulit lang. But, baka kinesthetic learner siya or baka, at saka baka siya ay very, yung wala siyang ginagawa, determined. Meron naman tayong mga anak na tahimik lang, very, So, let's go to the details of each, no? Ito. Meron ba kayong ganyang anak? Basahin nyo lang muna. Ang behavior nito, ito yung tinatawag na determined person. Kumbaga, dominant yung determined siya. These are the leader type. Ang tawag nila leader type. Yung parang, ako leader, very comfortable in leading people. They are dynamic, they are decisive, they are goal-oriented, and 6 practical solutions. They are activator, and they want to lead and organize, and they excel in emergency. Okay, hindi sila nagpapanik, may sunog. Alam nila, they know what to do. Parang instinct sa kanila, natural sa mga D-type personality. So, meron ba kayong anak na ganyan? So, anong challenge dyan? Ano yung mga stress signals naman ng mga batang ganito? Ito po yung tinatawag na weak spot ng mga batang ganito. A dominant yung D. Again, it's a combination, but what we're trying to do now is nagpo-focus lang tayo sa most dominant, yung observable na behavior niyan. So, ano pa yung mga stress signal? These are the people who are resistant. Pag sinabi mong stop, hindi mag-stop yan. Pumunta kayo sa mall, may gustong bilihin. Try them. Talagang mahirapan kayo kasi these are determined. These are characteristic ng anak ninyo. Pero ito yung sasabihin ko sa inyo, huwag kayong ma-disappoint kasi may mga values yung bakit siya. And they are, rebellious, angry, demanding, and sometimes controlling. So how do you handle that pag nag-homeschool ka? How do you handle that? So now, there are motivations. Paano mo mamumuka? Ano ba mga motivators ng mga bata na dito? first you have to give them an opportunity to be in charge of something. For example, nasa bahay siya, turuan mo siya, o ikaw mag-in charge sa pag-aayos ng plato or whatever. Give them something to lead. Bigyan mo siya ng activity, no? And these are the connecting, how can you connect now to their gift? Actually, giftedness yung pagiging leader na yun. So how do you do that? Number one, ang sasabihin mo sa kanila, ang sasabihin mo lang, instead of pagalitan mo siya, sabi, I like that you are confident in yourself. Di ba positive yun? So you always talk positive things sa mga anak niyo. Ako, I don't say na, kung maliliit yan, hindi ko sinasabi na hindi mo kaya yan. I don't even say any negative thing na, mahirap yan, hindi mo kaya yan, ang hina mo naman. Dapat ginawa mo to, hindi mo kagad na, laging positive lagi ang ano namin. We decided na all the positive things ang sasabihin namin. Kasi pag sinabi mong hindi mo kaya, maniniwala yung anak mo sa kanila. And they can be kumbaga magiging challenge nila habang lumalaki sila because of the words that you use for them. Importante po yung how you say for tinuturuan. So sasabihin mo sa kanya, I like that you set your mind to something and go after it. O, diba? Parang magiging talaga siya, decisive siya. Pag naging negosyante siya, magiging successful siya kasi gusto niya ma-achieve yung gusto niya. Hindi siya basta failure lang, titiklop na siya. Or failure lang, isang nalugi lang ng konti, iyak-iyak na siya, diba? So he grew up to be a leader. Another one is, pwede mo rin sabihin sa kanya, I like that you are committed and decisive. You see, yung mga negative things na yun, tin-turn around mo into positive. So when you homeschool your children, be very, very sensitive. Pag-aralan mo, ano ba talagang behavior mo? Is he a D? May pagka-D ba siya? This is how to handle them. So what else? Pag-usapan naman natin yung influencing. Sorry, makakapasin tayo sa class. So, yung influencing naman, ito po yung personality niyan. Mahilig sa colorful dress. Yan yung outgoing, volunteers for job, they make friends easily, very emotional, inspirational, high energy, creative, and talkative. Meron ba kayong anak? Walang hindi maubusan ng kwento? Kahit matatanda, meron. Yun ang tinatawag na inspiring or influencing personality. Yan yung talk of, dyan yung parang sa party, makikita mo hindi naubusan ng kwento yan. Those are personality type ng mag-observe nyo sa anak nyo. It could be a motivational speaker, it could be an artist, it could be, kumbaga, teacher, kumbaga yung, why do you need to know the personality of your children pala, by the way? Doon mo kasi ihuhun kung ano sila magiging in the future. Tutulungan mo sila. Because of those personality, mamamatch yung kanilang future job, future work, or future gagawin nila in their career. Diba? Kasi ako, I did this dun sa mga anak ko at inobserbahan ko yan all throughout. Yung naging musician sila. Kasi inobserve ko yan all throughout the years of homeschooling nila. And they were successful because we deliberately try to understand them, try to know their strength and their weaknesses. So yung behavior na going back, ano ba yung mga stress signals nila? Paano mo sila ma-observe? Obserbahan mo rin yung mga stress signals kasi mo ma-identify kung ano sila. First, they are so active. Yung by the way, yung naunang personality sinabi kong determined saka itong influencing na to, these are the active personalities. Ito yung mga, sa term ng mga iba, makukulit. Makukulit ito okay. Ang term na pero don't use that word makulit. Negative yun, di ba? These are active people, no? These are impatient, gusto nila ngayon. Ngayon na. I want to buy something now, di ba? They are impatient, they are loud, maingay, and they seek attention, and even sometimes negative attention. They are, big emotional display. Ibig sabihin, pagka sisigaw yan, sasayaw pa yan. Kumbaga, gagawin. Talaga makikita mo yung body language nila. Yan yung mga yan. So, ngayon, ano bang mga motivation na kailangan mong gawin sa mga ganun? So, give them the opportunity to socialize and talk. Alright? Halika, pupunta tayo sa friend mo, kwentuhan natin, kumbaga, hone their gifts, hone their talent. And this is the question that you can ask them. Okay? And the way to honor their giftedness, ito po yung tatanong na sasabihin natin. I like that you are fun to be with. Di ba gagamitin niya paglaki niya, yung kanyang strength niya. Kasi sinasabi mo na fun pala yung maging ganito, yung very friendly, di ba? And then, sabihin mo rin, I like that you are fun to be with and I like that you are a friendly person. Di ba? So magiging friendly sila kasi ini-encourage mo siya. Another one is, I like your enthusiasm and contagious. So those are the ways to connect to the giftedness of your children. Alright? So what else? Ano pa ba? Okay, malapit na. Okay lang po yung konting extension na. Next is yung behavior naman ng isang steadfast. Ito kami yan. Ako eh. I'm a steadfast person. Leia is a steadfast person. No, when we did a profiling, nakita namin yung profile namin na we are steady. Kami yung parang hindi kami maingay, hindi kami yung noisy people. Okay, we are easygoing, well-balanced, quiet, but witty. Nako, witty yan si Leia. Witty, agreeable. Kahit pag may sinabi ka, hindi na ako masyadong kumukontra, hindi ako kontrabida lagi. Ganun ang personality ng mga bata na nasa steadfast personality. Okay, mama. Meron ba kayong ganong anak? Lahat na sabihin mo gagawin. Sarap nung ganong bata, di ba? They are good listener. And it helps looks out for the others. Meron akong ganyang anak. Bantayan mo si Hindi na talaga tatanong babantayan niya yung kanya. Very consistent and reliable and dependable. So ano naman ang weak spot niyan? Lahat ng personality pag sumobra may problema. So ano yung stress signal niya? Kuminsan din stubborn depending on the threat to their security. Submissive pero stubborn sila pagka ayaw nila. Medyo ganun din. Next is they reach out for relationship even stronger. Sa inyo mga bata na gusto niya, hakapin mo siya, kukumustahin, mamahalin mo siya. You have to express emotions to them that you love them. Pagka ganun yung bata, yun ang hinahanap. And then they go out of their own way to keep the peace. Kahit sarili lang nila. Walang tao, nandun lang sila. Kala mo kung anong ginagawa, pero happy na sila nang nasa isang sulok. Di ba? May mga bata ba na, meron pa kayong anak nasa isang sulok, happy na. Walang walang requirement. Basta nandun lang, bigyan mo lang ng kapirasong laruan, okay na siya. So, yun ang mga tao niya. Now, how do you motivate them? One way to move from stress to motivation would be to emphasize that you need their help and give them an additional boost of confidence by ensuring that they have what they need to succeed. Ang ibig sabihin niyan, kumbaga hingian mo sila ng tulong and emphasize that you are very helpful, that you can help. Boost mo yung confidence nila na you have the capability to help them. So these are how to connect to the sweet spot. No? Ito number one, sabihin mo, I like that you are a caring person. I like that you try and get along with others, and I like that you are compassionate. You see the language, no? Yung positive talagang ina-emphasize mo, hindi yung negative. Alam naman natin, may positive at negative ang mga bata, no? Mga anak natin. So last na. Okay. Conscientious. Ito po yung analytical, logical. Talagang pagka inaayos yung kanilang mga table, hindi mo pwedeng galawin yan. Magagalit sa'yo yan. Pag nilipat mo yung location, oh my goodness. Bakit mo nilipat yung location na yan? These are the analytical, logical, neat and organized, no? Creative, conscientious, they seek perfection, detail-oriented, deep thinker, and easily sees problems or errors. Napakadetalye. Ito po yung future accountant, engineers, doctors, astronauts. Yan po. Yung pag kinausap mo, pag titingnan ka ng mabuti at tama ba sinasabi mo, i-analyze niya lahat ng sinasabi mo. At super thinker, di ba? So how do you deal with that? Ano ba yung mga problema nila? Okay. Ano ba yung mga stress signals ng mga bata? So you see, you look at the positive, look at the negative as well para maintindihan mo yung kanyang personality. What are those? Overly cautious. Ibig sabihin, takot sila. O baka magkamali. Ito yung tinatawag na, ang problem nila yung paralysis analysis pag lumaki na sila. Pag hindi mo tinuruan, lahat ng gagawin nila, piperpikin nila. Hindi pa sila tapos. Ang tagal-tagal na. Pag bibigay ng exam, piniperfect nila, tapos na ang time, hindi pa sila tapos. So you have to deal with them. Talk to them na hindi kailangan na, you really have to move out of your comfort zone and be courageous, no? And they are, critical, lahat papansinin, pessimistic, blames others, and become very technical. So, ganun po yung mga stress signal nila. So, how do you manage that? Paano gagawin mo? Anong motivation nila? How do you motivate them? Okay, they typically love the opportunity to research, analyze, to discover something, no? By asking questions that is motivating for them. Yun po yung gusto nila. Kunwari, nagtatanong sila, ano bang nangyari? Ano mga theory? Meron ako isang anak na ganyan. Second po, lahat tinatanong hanggang ngayon. pati yung politika ngayon. Iba na discussion namin ngayon. And then, how can you connect to their giftedness? Number one, ask this question. I like how you always try to do your best. I like that you like things to be organized. And I like that you listen to what others say. So those are the ways to handle your kids while you're doing homeschooling. We can actually do that more in deep teaching siguro some other time. We go deep dive on that. That's how. Thank you so much.